I love it when USC acts like they're supposed to be acting, like they're in charge. Because right now, USC is recruiting like a boss.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, right on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thanks for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network your first listen every day. Whether you are watching this show on YouTube, you know you can pick your platform, you know you can download this podcast, and you can always be assured this show is going to be free, and you can always be assured how much I'm going to appreciate your support. All right, everyone, raise your hand if you remember the last five-star left tackle that committed to USC. USC's been close, recently. They came in second place for Josh Connolly up there, ended up in the Pacific Northwest, and they were in the running for others. They almost got Francis Mauigoa, who went to Miami. However, Keenyi Pepe is the biggest name by far, without a doubt, that Lincoln Riley has signed since he took over the USC football program. Yeah, it finally happened. I've been hinting about it. We've been talking about it on this show forever. The big offensive tackle is he's the nation's 44th overall prospect, according to On3. He's the number 5 offensive tackle in the entire country. That's how good he is. You should already know by now that Keenyi is the younger cousin / brother of defensive tackle G.O.A.T Pepe at USC. They're cousins. They call each other brothers. You guys can fight about it. But yeah, by far, it's not even a question. The biggest name from the group that's committed to USC so far, Keenyi Pepe. IMG Academy. So he's joining the class, and it already includes 4-star Isun Tafa. You've got 3-star from Northern California, Vlad Diakonov. You've got Kanan Smith from Colorado. You've got John Fafita, as well as Chase Dinas. So yeah, USC's offensive line room got some good size. All those dudes are massive, but Keenyi, he's the biggest, without a doubt. And he was one of the most sought-after offensive tackles in the entire recruiting process throughout the country. Originally from Southern California, he's been getting developed at IMG Academy in Florida. He's coming home. And don't forget, the USC is recruiting like a boss right now. The Trojans are chasing other, elite offensive tackles. Kevin Obit from Idaho's out there. You got Malachi Lee from Hawaii. Told you on yesterday's episode. USC's coaching staff is going to make their way out to Hawaii sometime this weekend, and they're all going to descend on Malachi's house. All of them. They're going to gang recruit him, and they're going to do the same thing to Talanoa Ely, who's also over in Hawaii now with both of his parents. So I'm going to go ahead right now and throw in my crystal ball predictions into the pool. Just throwing them straight in the deep end. You got Keenyi Pepe. That was the one they really, really, really wanted. 3 times for emphasis. Well, they also want Malachi and Kelvin. I'm telling you right now, Zach Hansen's going to get both of those guys. Not going to be surprised. Don't be shocked. It's going to happen. Back to Pepe, though. He's not the first 5-star that USC has landed. He's not going to be the last. However, when it comes to the physical size, as well as the importance of the position that he plays, then I would say, without a doubt, this is USC's biggest recruiting win at that position since, I don't know, I want to go back to Austin Jackson. And he turned into a first-round draft pick for USC, went to Miami. He's got a pretty solid career so far. Is he USC's next Tyron Smith, who just retired, and who, by the way, is a first-ballot Hall of Famer? That's a lot of pressure to put on Keenyi, but those are the caliber of players. That's where a lot of people think Pepe can be. He can reach that ceiling, and that ceiling's way up there. Look, they're rare, but occasionally those unicorns out there, like Tyron Smith, Keenyi Pepe, They appear out of nowhere. They fall in love with USC. They fall in love with USC because they're from Southern California. And look, it's not often that a true freshman can arrive in college, show up on a college campus, day one, ready to play, especially along the offensive line and especially at a place like USC. And let's just forget about asking a true freshman to start at left tackle because that's just simply out of the question. Sometimes. Pepe might be that unicorn that's been lurking in the bushes. Early in the week, at the assistant coach's brunch that I was at with the rest of the media, offensive line coach Zach Hansen made the point that, his goal is to not just develop the guys he has, but to recruit guys who are better than the ones that are already on the roster. And by no means was he calling, guys like Elijah Page and Tobias Raymond or Justin Tawanu lesser players. However, again, Pepe is one of those guys that's coming out of high school who the Trojans have missed out on during recent recruiting battles. And Pepe is considered as one of those can't miss NFL first rounders. I mean, again, he's one of those guys. USC hasn't had one of those guys with their offensive line recruiting in a while. Elijah Page, maybe he's the guy. Maybe he's the dude. Pepe's arriving with a little bit more accolades. And again, that's not a knock on Elijah. Elijah was one of the more highly decorated, highly sought after offensive linemen in his class in 2023. But still, you're just making comparisons here. I'm making comparisons here. And even so, they got Keenyi. The day before, we talked about the wide receiver, Roderick Tezion from Opelousas, Louisiana. I love saying the word Opie. USC's not done. If you're watching this episode on Friday to end the week, they're getting one more. I'm not sure what time on Friday or, again, when you're watching this episode of Locked On USC. Should be watching this episode of Locked On USC, your first listen, your first watch every day. But just in case, USC's number one rated recruiting class. Yeah, they're getting another elite player to close out the week. The only hint I'm going to offer is the name. You'll recognize the name because I've been mentioning a group of 10 to 12 players during this week of guys who could commit next. The list that, our good friend Scott Schrader over there at wearesc.com compiled. Well, that list is down to 10 names. Okay, so out of that 10, you're going to see your commitment on Friday. I'll tell you what, the more I think about it, the more I wrap my head around this, I think that's the rest of USC's recruiting class. Those names. With one caveat. There might be one guy that I have not mentioned yet. And I know some of you sent me a comment saying, hey, Mark, how come Brandon Arrington? I'm not saying he's out. What I'm saying is out of those 10, 12 players, those are the next guys that everyone feels could be the next to commit to USC. I think Brandon's a little bit further down the line. That's all. So stop stressing on that. But the next, there is a commit out there who could very well end up in this class. And the name doesn't get mentioned very often. I don't think I brought it up once, but I'm going to bring it up now. He's a wide receiver. His name is Luke Weaver, 6'3", 195 pounds. He's from Southern California. Lincoln Riley offered Sherman Oaks on 300 receiver Luke Weaver back on April 24th, a week ago. All of a sudden, USC's the team to beat for him. When you look at his, evaluations across the different networks, whether it's Locked On or Rivals or 247 or ESPN, on 3, ironically, has him rated the highest as a 4-star. They think he's the number 27th best receiver in the country, and he's actually a top 200 overall prospect. So they have him as a 4-star. Last year as a junior, he had 53 catches, 1,024 yards, 10 touchdowns. That's not bad. The other programs USC is fighting for, against, I guess, to get Mr. Weaver's commitment. You got Minnesota, you got Washington, you got UCLA. And he already actually has official visits set up for those schools. But he's been on USC's campus a few times. He's familiar. If you see him set up an official visit, lock it in. He'll end up being a Trojan. But before I get out of this segment, obviously Keenyi Pepe, the big news. USC got that 5-star offensive tackle, left tackle of the future, the guy who's going to be protecting either Jonas Williams or Husan Longstreet or Ryder Lyons. USC's got, as Coach Henny said during the brunch, we got champagne problems at USC right now, aka rich people problems. But here's another name. If USC needs to go into the transfer portal, okay, put this name on the back burner. Just remember the name. I had a source close to the situation reach out to me recently to let me know that the USC coaching staff has shown some interest in, his name is Aiden Meeks, and he jumped in the transfer portal. He was with Texas Tech this past season. He's a wide receiver. I'm going to call him an athlete because he also plays on special teams. He can return kicks. He can return punts. 6 foot, 185 pounds. So I'll say this again. If USC needs to find a wide receiver out of the transfer portal for whatever reason, they got a space. It's not because somebody left. They have space. This guy might be someone that can play the slot at USC, play special teams. I saw his film. It's good. I mean, the young man runs a 4.340. We call that around here fast. When you watch his film, you see dude's got major wiggle. He runs really precise routes. He leaves the defender picking up his jock. He's got a great pair of hands. And I was told that he loves USC. And he also has 4 more years of eligibility left. And for what it's worth, Aiden's dad, Coach Riley, I understand they are on the same roster at Texas Tech together. So again, name is Aiden Meeks. Go check out his film. It's really good. Tell me what you think. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product information that's going to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 plus top brands, you're going to find exactly what you need, and they're going to deliver it fast, right to your front door, coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, not a problem. Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for an extra edge, Free Trade Pro Master Program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Masters program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, if you use promo code SH5, you're going to get 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. I really like this USC coaching staff a lot. I cannot emphasize that enough. These guys are down to earth. They're humble. They're real. I don't get any sense that they're talking coach speak BS. A lot of coaches like to do that. I don't get that sense from these guys. I'm a BSer myself, so it's easy for me to recognize it. And I'm not sniffing any of that. Just letting you know. I got to talk to almost all of the assistant coaches. Anthony Jones Jr., I spoke with him for about 20, 25 minutes. I could talk to that dude for hours. He's not just their USC's running back coach. He also works with the return specialist. And so I wanted to know, I said, how do you incorporate your teachings and development with the guys who you work with on special teams? Because they're the wide receivers, they're the running backs. How do you kind of incorporate that into the running back room? He said, number one, the first thing we're emphasizing, we're talking about ball security, taking care of the ball. He said that's been a big emphasis this offseason. Secondly, it's being able to, he wants to teach the players how to see things before they happen, right? Learning how to set up your blocks, getting the timing down with the blockers, or, whether it's on punt or kick return, doesn't matter. Knowing where those guys in front of you, where they're going to be, how they're going to set up, how long it takes them to get to that spot, to get into their positions. Because once you get that down, you've got everybody on the same page with the timing, then all of a sudden, those return guys, those running backs, those wide receivers, they become more elusive. They don't have to waste steps. They're not trying to make up for, that gap should have been there. It's not there now, so I got to take 4 more steps to get to the outside. It's that type of stuff. I loved when he pointed out how Mekhi Lemon did all that. Once he replaced Zachariah Branch as the punt and kick return, it all showed up on the field like it was supposed to happen. And I guess this is probably the perfect segue. I asked him right at that moment, I said, do you think Mekhi could play running back for USC? And he's like, yeah. In fact, he goes, I had a joke with Mekhi. He said, he started rattling off all the different guys that he's coached and developed at this, his previous stops like Memphis and TCU. But yeah, he definitely thinks so. In fact, he thinks Mekhi is probably one of the best athletes in the entire country. And he knows a lot of great athletes. He's one of the top recruiters in the country, so he comes across all these guys frequently. He was also very complimentary of his guys with their pass blocking skills. That's something they've been working on during the spring. And he said, despite, the running backs having to go up against guys like Eric Gentry and Desmond Stevens and Anthony Beavers and Jaden Walker, he said the best thing about it was he's really happy. He was trying to be funny about it, and it was just a lighthearted moment. He said, I didn't have to write any postcards to their moms explaining to them that their babies got injured because, Eric Gentry or one of the linebackers demolished them. So basically the message was they're holding their own. They're going up against a really good defense right now. The linebackers are getting there, but they're doing their job. They're standing their guys up. They're winning their battles. I also wanted to know about the true freshman who was an early enrollee, Riley Wormley. What does he bring to the table? And he loves Riley. That when he gets healthy, USC fans are going to love this guy too. He's kind of a jack of all trades, a Swiss Army knife. He can do it all. He can play running back. He can catch the ball at the backfield. He can return kicks. He mentioned that right now, Riley isn't fully cleared medically. So he's limited in what he was able to do during spring camp, but he was getting antsy. And so coach, caught him a couple times trying to insert himself into certain drills that he shouldn't be in. And so at that moment, I was like, what? That kind of reminds me of that Justin Fargas anecdote. Some of you will remember. I can't remember which game it was for the life of me. It's bugging me. But Justin Fargas, he should have been at USC from the beginning. He ended up going to Michigan. He had that terrible, terrible knee injury. Well, he got back healthy, and he was almost back 100%. He wasn't quite there yet. Anyways, he was suited up for the game. He put himself in the game. He ran the ball one time. I remember watching the sideline, and Coach Carroll and the rest of the coaching staff were apoplectic. They literally had to get somebody to take him off the field, and they yanked his helmet away from him, from Justin. That's the type of competitiveness you want. So if Riley Wormley has just 1% of Justin Fargas's competitiveness, USC found themselves a real gem. That's all I can say. We talked about tailback U, and I asked him, how much of that goes into your recruiting pitch? And at that moment, he goes, you know what? He brought up his dad, who happens to be a preacher. And one of the things his dad's always, finger quotes, preaching about is how pride cometh before destruction. So Coach was thinking about how his dad would tell him, try not to be, too braggadocious. Don't brag about things too much. But, he said you have to find that balance, especially, you have to be able to put your chest out and, kind of puff it out and say, I'm the running back coach at USC, and this is a tradition that USC has. But, at the same time, you got to remain humble. So he says he just has to find that balance. You really don't want to brag about it too much. But yeah, you're definitely going to talk about all the players who have come before, because, the younger players, some of them remember those guys. Anyways, I since he brought up pride, I said, do you still take pride in the fact that, Woody Marks was USC's first 1,000-yard rusher since Rojo back in 2017? And he's like, yeah, that's one thing that my dad can get mad at me about. And it's not so much it's the pride he has. He said the most pride he felt was last Saturday when USC was holding the Trojan Olympics, the final spring practice at the Coliseum. He was on his way walking, to the Coliseum, and he got that phone call that Woody got drafted in the 4th round. He said that was just a proud moment for him, for everyone involved. And that's when he felt that pride. He wanted, it's like, hey, I could be proud about this. So yeah. He's also a big fan of Josiah Zamora. He brought him up because he works with him, during as a special teams specialist, return specialist. And he said, he's just a young man who does everything the right way. And he reminded us, hey, don't forget, he kind of saved our ass. Saved our butt in the bowl game against Texas A&M when he recovered that fumble. So yeah, if you ever get the opportunity to hang out and talk with Anthony Jones Jr., you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna like the guy. Very humble, but just a straight shooter, no BS. And I love people like that. All right, we got one more segment to go. It's Friday. You know what that means, right? It's time for my Friday rant. And yeah, you see that bullet point there? A lack of respect for the GOAT. Is he really the GOAT? Some of you might know where I'm going with this. I watched exactly 0 seconds of the Lakers playoff games live. Not 1 second. I know some of you are going, all right, here he goes. Mark's about to get on his high horse. You're damn right I am. You are absolutely right. A lot of you know I vowed not to watch the Lakers. My team, the one I grew up watching, going back to when Gail Goodrich was running the point. Yeah, that long ago. For the last, 2.5 years, I have boycotted the Lakers. As long as LeBron James is holding that team hostage for his own benefit, everything he does, I'm done with this organization. I'm not rooting for them to lose, but I'm not upset that they were eliminated from the playoffs. Again, ask me if I'm upset that the Lakers got curb stomped 4-1 against Minnesota, and Game 5 was at Crypto. For me, it's always going to be the Great Western Forum anyways. I'm not upset. It doesn't bring me joy to watch my organization being run like the Clippers. I want to make that clear. But just like Chuck Barkley, our good friend Charles Barkley, and he's not the only one. A few others have said it as well. Let's not put LeBron James in the GOAT conversation anymore. Let's just be done with that. As far as I'm concerned, he doesn't even belong in the top 5 discussion. Here's my top 5. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. That's 4. and flip a coin. Give me Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or give me Wilt Chamberlain. Hell, I'll even take Shaquille O'Neal for my fifth. You find me a team that can beat those four plus any one of those big guys in the middle. You can't. Impossible. You want to give LeBum the honorable mention and put him in the top 10? I'll stand down. I'll let you have your way. But top 5? No, not happening. Not in my league. Not my Mount Rushmore. I know Mount Rushmore has 4 guys. Basketball, we talk about it in 5s. The Lakers lost 3 straight games to lose that series 4-1. It's terrible. It's unheard of. I mean, did you know? Were you aware of this? LeBron has lost 3 straight games in a playoff series 12 times. What? 6 times in non-final series, like first round that they just suffered. 6 times in the finals. I don't care how you want to spell it. That dude is Diaper Dookie. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'll tell you another thing. You know what else wouldn't happen? You know what else wouldn't happen if Kobe was on the team that got beat like that? Kobe's been a part of teams that have gotten beat. He's been part of, Laker teams that have been lost 4-0, 4-1. But no one from the opposing team would be doing a victory lap around the arena, talking smack like Minnesota's Anthony Edwards did. They wouldn't do it because as much as players might have hated Kobe because of how competitive he was, how he would just do whatever he could to beat you, they still respected him. LeChoke, not so much. I don't think he has the same type of respect around the league that the players like Michael Jordan, like Kobe Bryant, like Magic Johnson, like Larry Bird. I'll even throw in Isaiah Thomas. AI. You see where I'm going with this? I can make the case that LeBron isn't even one of the top 10 players. And I go, well, he's got the most points ever scored. Like I said, selfish benefit for himself, including making sure his kid got a guaranteed $4 million. Talking about a billionaire son. Yeah. At least the Lakers season is over. I'm praying this was the last year with LeBron James on that team. The Lakers cannot recover until they get rid of him. Bottom line, period. And I don't care how many people are upset with me about this. We don't have to agree on this. But when it comes to the Lakers, I'm pretty passionate about it. And I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines, not being able to watch because they got some Yahoo on that team who thinks it's his own personal charity, who's padding his stats, trying to write his own records. Get out of town. Leave. I'm done with you. All right. What was that for a Friday rant? That's it for this episode of Locked on USC. I will be back with another 5 episodes next week. Like I said, there's a lot of recruiting. So, as I said, first segment of the show, you're going to get another commitment today, Friday, and who knows what happens during the weekend. So, until then, everyone, you know what to do.